got those blue cuffs right here. Now I want you guys to keep in mind my color combination right now, because armies of the 18th century, well, ones like the British, as you guys are probably also familiar with, they were wearing red. These colors are important because when this goes off here in about a couple minutes, it's going to create a lot of smoke. Now, they're using tactics of the time period where they're going to have soldiers, or my friends, lined up side by side, shoulder to shoulder next to me. Those are linear tactics. Now, the enemy is also going to be using those same tactics, but we're going to be firing in volleys. That means all of us are going to fire at the same time. Now, the amount of smoke these create is quite a bit, and when you have 10, 20, 30 men shooting in one volley, it's going to create quite a bit of smoke. And when that smoke goes off, that visibility is going to be hard. So you might not be able to distinguish a friend from a foe. If you don't know a person coming at you and you shoot him and he's your friend, well, that's too bad because you just shot your friend. If you happen to shoot an enemy, well, you just got very lucky, even if you couldn't tell who he was. So again, I can't stress enough how important it is that I am wearing the uniform that I have right now. Okay, so what you guys all come here to see is this guy right here. It is a smoothbore musket. It is more specifically a Charleville. The French are going to musket in French. Now, who here has shot a flintlock musket before? Anybody? I got one hand. Anybody else? It looks like just one. Well, that's okay. So that means I get to explain the rest to you folks. So what a flintlock musket is we have a piece of flint. You have a piece of flint that's in the skin of the musket or the dog. Now, when I go to shoot and pull the trigger, that flint is going to spring forward and touch this steel plate right here, the frizzen. When that happens, hopefully it creates a bunch of sparks. Now, when those sparks go flying, it's hopefully going to land in the pan right where my finger is, as you see. And in that pan is going to be gunpowder. Now, hopefully the sparks land in that gunpowder and ignite. And when that happens, hopefully it'll go through a touch hole right where my finger is, also by the pan, and that'll hopefully ignite a powder charge in the barrel and shoot a musket ball out the end of my musket towards my enemy. Now, what is one word that I used a lot of right there to describe this? Yes, hopefully it is kind of a finicky weapon. So it doesn't like to operate when it's humid out, when it's windy, when it's raining. Reasons are for that is when it's humid, the powder gets a little damp, sometimes it won't go off. When it's raining, well, it's quite obvious your powder is going to get wet and that won't go off. When it's windy, like a day like today, it might fall right out of my pan and I won't have any powder that'll get ignited by those sparks. But so far the first demonstration went quite well, even with the wind, so you guys should be in for a good show. That being said, going back against the piece, it's a smoothbore musket. That means the barrel is just as smooth as the outside here. Now during the 18th century they did have rifles. The only problem is rifles are expensive to manufacture and they take a little longer to load. Now a rifle at the time period is going to take about 60 seconds to load, whereas this thing, a well-trained soldier can reload this in 15 seconds. There's, well, a couple of reasons for that. One I just explained was the smoothbore aspect of it. The other is what I will show you right now. The cartridge here, right where my pinky is going to be a musket ball. That musket ball is going to be 67 caliber in size. The bore diameter of this particular musket is 69 caliber. That means the musket ball is going to slide down nice and easy when I'm reloading, and it will help aid in that quickness. You also might be asking if it's going to be smaller, it might be bouncing around. That's for you gun experts out there. It might be bouncing around in this 8, and then the accuracy will be diminished by quite a bit. Well, with this particular tool, I can hit a man-sized target center mass at about 100 yards. That's still pretty good, especially if you're lined up side by side, shooting an enemy who's also lined up side by side. Now, the well-trained soldier, like I said, can shoot this in 15 seconds, reload and shoot in 15 seconds, rather. When you have multiple volleys of that going on towards your enemy, you've got kind of a primitive 18th century machine gun going on, so you can kind of see how effective that would have been for a tool at this time. But right now, I'm going to demonstrate the loading and firing of this, so I will begin. The soldier's going to grab the cartridge out of his cartridge box right here. He'll pull it out. He's going to take this flap where my pointer finger is and put it between his teeth and tear it off as such. Not even gunpowder when he's doing it. So, once he has that step done, it is, well, before I go, it is recommended that a soldier of this time period have at least 4 good teeth. Because if he doesn't have 4 good teeth, he's not ripping that cartridge off. If you can't rip that cartridge off, you're pretty much a worthless soldier. So again, teeth are important. So what he's going to do then is he's going to open the pan, dump a little hopefully it won't overflow away on me. We'll take the rest of it, dump it down the barrel. Now again, I said the 67 caliber musket ball going in a 69 caliber diameter bore. The paper is going to go right down along with it because it's going to act as wadding to keep everything in place at the bottom of the barrel. That is in case for whatever reason I tip the gun upside down, maybe I trip, fall, slip, it's not all going to come pouring out. So right now I have a loaded musket. All I have to do is put it onto full cock, pull the trigger, and hopefully it'll fire and work. So let's go ahead and find out. Again, I do advise feel free to cover your ears. It is going to be a little loud, but I'll also count down to 3 before I pull the trigger. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. All right. Thank you guys, because I'm curious to see if you agree with me. Who here would say that for the 18th century, this is a pretty scary weapon? Show of hands, anybody? All right, yeah, absolutely. I agree. It is a fairly scary weapon for the time period. But I'm going to show you something a little more terrifying. And that is, if I can get it out, the bayonet. Now, the bayonet is a triangular shaped blade. It's fairly dull, it's not too sharp, and it's also not too pointy. I can kind of poke myself with it there, not too much is going to happen, unless you really thrust it into somebody, which is what their intent was. So, when we feel, after we sent volley after volley down the field towards our enemy, and they're kind of wavering a little bit, sometimes we're going to put these on our muskets and give them that little extra kick off the field. It's a good terror weapon, so they're going to put it on as such, and they're going to come at their soul at the enemy like this. Now, if you have this coming at you, what is your instinct? Yes, run. That is exactly what I would do if I was faced with this coming at me. Generally, again, if you did have to get stabbed by this, which there were occasions where that did happen, don't get me wrong, not everybody ran away, some people stayed and fought. If you got stabbed with this, you're going to get stabbed with a triangular blade. Now, when that triangular blade goes through you, it creates a triangular hole. It's also going to do some tearing on the way. That hole is going to be hard to sew up. If you have a hole that's hard to sew up, you're going to get all sorts of bacteria and germs falling into it. At least that's what we know today. It's going to make the recovery process that much harder and usually, well, generally fatal for the person that is wounded. The other thing, too, is sometimes soldiers are firing these weapons with the bayonet mounted. So when you're doing that, you're getting black powder residue all up and down the blade. That residue is also going to be primed for infection and all sorts of other stuff inside that wound. So you can generally see why, when faced with one of these, why you might run away or surrender. Now luckily for me, if I get to take some prisoners by using this, I can capture them, take them back with me,